General Manager Mike Grier met with the media today. We are definitely not going to overreact to what he said.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is JD Young, and today's episode of Locked On Sharks is brought to you by Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. And on today's episode, we are going to overreact to some of, or try to not overreact, maybe just kind of figure out what Mike Grier meant with some of the things he said at today's press availability. This, of course, happened before the Eklund trade, and we're going to also kind of look at it through some of the things he said through the scope of before he traded Eklund versus now that we know what we know now, what Mike Grier meant from it. So we'll kind of look at three sections. We'll kind of odds and ends at the end where Kesselring, and we'll talk about a Warsaw contract. We'll look at free agents and RFAs and why I think he's lying about a certain contract negotiation. But of course, since it is draft week, we're going to start with Mike Grier in the draft. So as I have done with these episodes before, I have clipped what Mike Grier said, we are going to react to it. So one, thank you to the San Jose Sharks for giving us some time with Mike Grier. And two, thank you to the San Jose Sharks for having the video and sending me the video to allow me to use in today's episode. And again, if you're listening, you'll hear Mike Grier. I hope you can tell between Mike Grier and I, but when Mike Grier was asked about the second overall pick and kind of what type of player and getting a good player and what you kind of expect, here's what he said. So
yeah, no, we lucked out there on the lottery, and now we're sitting in a really good spot where we know we're going to get an impact player and hopefully someone we can add to our core group and be a part of our team for a long time.
So looking at it through the lens beforehand, like, okay, cool. It's probably going to be Stenberg or it's probably going to be Chase Reed. And that's kind of been the company line that he has stuck to. Of course, right, we're going to be getting the company line that he sets. We're going to be getting a good player here, right? We're excited. And we heard the same thing last year with Michael Misa, right? We're really excited about whatever player we pick, whether it's, and he's very specific about not naming names as well. He kind of does that later on where he talks about a defenseman. He talks about a winger from the SHL. He did actually name Gab McKenna, but we know, of course, Gab McKenna is going to be going to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But, of course, kind of given the company line with that there. So, but now that we're out of, now that we know what we know, right, he should still be really excited, especially when, again, you're most likely drafting Ivar Stenberg, and you're potentially getting the highest floor combined with maybe the best player. I know Gab McKenna's got the higher offensive ceiling, but again, with where the Sharks are at and what the Sharks Stenberg does feel like a player who's going to fit like a glove with the San Jose Sharks here. And Mike Grier reiterated his drafting for the best player available over need, in this year's draft, and just his philosophy of just always take the best player available. He talked about that, right, with Joshua Ravensbergen, who they felt was the best goalie in the draft they got last year at the end of the first round. And again, here's what he said when asked about, trying to focus on the blue line, which definitely needs some help. Here's what he said, and this should have been here's what he said.
I don't believe in drafting for need when you're at the top of the draft. I think it's a dangerous game to play to leave talent on the table. So our pick will strictly come down to who we think is the best player and who will be the best NHL player down the road.
Which again, beforehand, okay, well, what's your, like, you could still have the conversation of, right, is Chase Reed going to be the best NHL player? Is Ivar Stenberg going to be the best NHL player? Or is, Carson Carroll's or whomever else going to be the best NHL player? But now after the Eklund trade, it's very much like a, yes, we are going to draft Ivar Stenberg at number 2 because we think he is the best player in this draft. And we don't care about need. We'll figure it out, as we clearly looks like they're going to figure it out at whatever number 9 is. And seeing that, again, as I'm recording this, 9:30 p.m. on a, after a insane day in the NHL, right? Like, it sounds like he was willing to kind of turn that number 9 and 27 into Bowen Byram, for example, and the Chicago Blackhawks went absolutely bananas and gave away the 4th overall pick. I like Bowen Byram, but I'm not giving away the 4th overall pick for him. Like, I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he can be your best defenseman on like a championship caliber team. Do I think he could be like your second or third? Yeah, I think so. Can he be your best? And that, when you're paying that, you're expecting him to be kind of your best type of defenseman. So, but yeah, Mike Grier, I'm not going to doubt you anymore. You say you're going to take the best available. He's going to take the best available. I think at 9, if they are taking the pick at number 9, I do think they will lean defenseman. And I do think there's going to be some good options there for them. I would be surprised if they walked away with 2 top 10 forward picks. But the top of the draft here, right? I mean, the tippy top of the draft, Mike Grier's going to go who he thinks the best player available is. And I have a strong feeling it's going to be Ivar Stenberg at the top of the draft. So I asked him about pick number 27 and moving down from pick 20 to 27, if he still felt like he's going to get a quality player in that position. And here's what Grier had to say about that.
Players that we were looking at, we'd be looking at 20. We'd probably be looking at a lot of guys in the same in a similar bucket. So, so we hope we'll still be able to get a pretty good player there at 27. Last year we lucked out and feel like we got the best goalie in the draft at 30. So we feel good that we'll still get a good player there.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think they will. It's going to be my guess again. I think they're going to go with someone like, I think they're going to Stenberg. I think they're going to go with whatever's the best defenseman available at 9, whether it's Verhoff or Rudolph or whomever, right? And then I think they're going to take a swing. And if a guy like Tommy Blyle or somebody like that is available there at 27, I could see them going for a home run swing, especially if it's potentially your 3rd pick in the draft, right? Where you're right. Like, if you feel like this guy has like insane upside, you take a swing, because if it hits, it hits, right? And if it doesn't, well, you feel pretty good about Stenberg, and you probably feel pretty good about whoever you're drafting at 9 in this year's draft. So why not take the swing for the ultimate upside instead of playing it safe? Because, like, honestly, you have a lot of safer, I don't want to say safer, but you have a lot of holes kind of filled in your prospect pool where, like, you feel like, okay, we got guys who we think will be the 3rd line, or 4th line type of players, or, second or 3rd pair type of defenseman. But if said player at 27, if you swing and he turns into what you think he could be, that's where you win. That's where you win the draft, right? That's how you win. And look at our good friends over at Montreal, right? Lane Hudson, got his flaws. He's not the biggest guy in the world. They took a swing on him, and now he's Lane Hudson, right? So that's what you're trying to do at 27. I'm really curious to see how the draft kind of works out for them. So We're going to shift gears and talk about some guys that are currently San Jose Sharks who need new contracts and why I think Mike Grier is lying to us, which wouldn't be the first time he's done it to us. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. World Cup is here as the most electric time in soccer. On Couch, you can trade every single match and the championship game. Looking at later on this week. Right now, Japan versus Sweden. I got my eyes locked on that game. Japan is trading at a 45% probability to beat Sweden, meaning a $100 trade pays out at $213.98 if they win. As the World Cup heats up, those numbers move in real time, and you can buy in and out of your position at any time. On Couch, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. As the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON, that's LOCKEDON, to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, that's KALSHI. Trade on anything. And running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems together that were never designed to work together, right? One app for accounting, one for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent, it's about having everyone working towards that same goal. That's true in sports like it is in business. William Eklund getting traded. This wasn't a reactionary move by Mike Grier, right? The organization has a vision. They believe Stenberg can be that guy to play with Celebrini. They're going to stick with it, and we're going to see the results because everyone is working in the same playbook. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. All right, of course want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Get your daily Sharks fix completely ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club today. Start your 7-day free trial right meow. Get closer to your team without the interruptions. Click the link in the show notes or head over to lockedonsharks.supercast to claim your free trial. All right, so Grier also asked about some of his RFAs and free agents and stuff like that. So let's start with the big names, right? Celebrini, who's due for an extension. Will Smith, also due for an extension, or eligible, both those eligible for extension on July 1st. And if he went out and said, like, if they don't get something done right away, it's not the end of the world. They have plenty of time with those guys. Collin Graf is a pending RFA who is also in need of an extension. Don't have to worry about him when it comes to offer sheet season and stuff like that, but is one player who needs an extension. And here's what Mike Grier, when asked about it, had to say.
I haven't had any with those guys. Graffer, Smitty, and Mac. We haven't had any negotiations yet with any of those guys. I think we'll probably try and get through the draft here and maybe even get through the early part of free agency before we get into it.
Mike Grier, I wish you weren't a liar because I 100% believe you're lying on this. And you're asking me, JD, why would you say things like that? Go back to the end of the year availability. And Grier literally said to the media, like, when asked about these negotiations, I hope you guys don't find out about them. Because if the media finds out, right, then maybe we start to hear some numbers and stuff like that. You lose leverage and stuff like that. And these are, right, you're projected I would put the over under $30 million a year between those three contracts, right? If you go 15 for Macklin, 10 for Will Smith, 5 for Graf, that's $30 million right there. Like, these are big time contracts that Mike Grier is going to be handing out here. And we know Mike Grier does not like things getting out, right? He plays everything very close to the vest. I mean, right? The Reed Stenberg, we were having this discussion until they literally traded away one of their top 6 forwards today, who plays a lot like the guy they're about ready to draft. So if you hear that and you're panicking, don't panic, right? Don't panic. Mike Grier is going to lie to us. That's his job. He's supposed to lie to us at times. It's for our own safety and our own. It's okay if Mike Grier is lying to us here, but I 100% believe Mike Grier is lying to us. I find it hard to imagine that they haven't at least had conversations with all 3 of those guys' agents. And you also, again, the way he worded it, I haven't talked to those guys. Doesn't mean he hasn't talked to their agents. Yeah, I haven't talked to those guys. I think you're lying, Mike Grier. I think you've already started. And I wouldn't be surprised if one, if not 2 of them are signed by the end of the day, July 1st. So Mike Grier, I think you're lying there. So staying on the RFAs, I asked him about 2 guys in particular, Ostapchuk and Shakir Mukhamadullin, both guys who are, kind of younger guys, but, kind of not as big names. And here's what Grier had to say about both of those players.
Yeah, we're still, we've had some initial conversations with Shakir's agent, and same thing with Chucky's agent. We've had some initial conversations with them. So, yeah, they're guys we'd like to get done as well.
Okay, we had to take care of it, right? Make sure that those guys are potentially coming back. It's low-hanging fruit, but it's easy for both those guys to come back. I think Mukhamadullin, I think 1-year contract type of deal, very much in the like, okay, buddy, this is go time for you. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ostapchuk gets like a 2-year deal or something like that. I think he's shown what he can be as a really solid 4th-line center for you. And you think too, especially with like Barclay Goodrow's got 1 more year left, like Ostapchuk has a bigger role kind of coming for him soon. So yeah, those guys are going to be expensive, but just wanted to check some boxes. So did also ask about everyone's favorite bald 6'7" defenseman, Vincent Desharnais, asked with the rest of the UFAs, and Grier was very much like, it doesn't sound like much of anybody. Actually, sorry, really quickly before some of the RFAs, he did say Regenda won't be back, which I'm not surprised by that. He did say Kurashev they're still on the fence with. I doubt he's back, especially when you look at his ice time and his role as the season diminished. I would be surprised if they kept his rights. I think he'll be heading to market there as well. So now on to the UFA part of it. It does sound like most of the UFAs, as expected, will become, free agents, right? Mario Ferraro, John Klingberg, etc. But everyone's favorite 6'7" ball defenseman does sound like there's a real possibility that he'll be back.
I've gone back and forth with Vinny a little bit, and his agent, and I'll probably have some more conversations with them as we head into July 1st, but there's, at the same time, there's some other things going on that we're trying to do that might take us off that. But we've had ongoing conversations with Vinny. He's probably the only one out of that group so far that we've had some conversations with.
So he did go on to say they've also talked to Ryan Reaves as well about potentially coming back. And I do think if Ryan Reaves comes back, it's going to be like a vetman, type of deal. Like, you're going to be the 14th forward. we'll try to get to you to your 1,000 games played type of status. But like that's going to be kind of his role, right? Be good in the locker room, help out the young kids. We'll get you your 1,000 games played type of role with it. So I do think with Desharnais, right? That's one he's probably got like a contract lined up if things fall through, and then like, hey, okay, here you go. Like that probably gets done like right before free agency, or like, sometime if things don't work out with some of his other options, Vinny, we'd like to have you back. And again, I don't think that's going to cost you a ton. And maybe like 1.5 for something like that. And again, that's your 6th or 7th defense, most likely your 7th defenseman, and who can come in, play well if you need him to, and isn't going to like good guy in the locker room, all that fun stuff. So we're going to follow up here with his, Kesselring and what he kind of expects with him, and then talk about Ryan Warsofsky, everyone's favorite subject, and why an extension is probably coming for Warsofsky. So we'll get to that in just one second. ED is way more common than most guys think, and millions of men deal with it at some point. HIMSS offers a simple, convenient way to take care of your health by connecting you with licensed healthcare providers online and giving you access to personalized treatment options from the comfort of home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just a straightforward process designed to make getting care easier. Taking care of yourself shouldn't feel complicated, and HIMSS makes that process private and easy to navigate. It's healthcare built around your schedule and your comfort. I know this can be an uncomfortable subject for many people to talk about. And the last thing you want is a complicated process. Having the ability to start online from home makes taking that first step feel much more manageable. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/lockedonNHL. That's hims.com/lockedonNHL to get your free online visit. hims.com/lockedonNHL. Prescription required. See website for details on important safety information. Slide in the Fall is the generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris Specialty LLC. HIMSS is not affiliated with or endorsed by Viatris. All right, of course want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen, where we cover your team every day. If you haven't yet, perfect time to go check out the Locked On NHL Prospect Boys. They got you covered. If you got to cram before Friday's draft, they got you covered over there. You can find them wherever you listen to this podcast, and of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. All right, let's talk about, of course, the shiny new toy, actual player that the Sharks acquired last week in Michael Kesselring. So Kesselring, Grier talked about someone they kind of coveted. He talked about how their analytics team was really high on Kesselring and think that there might be another level for him. So here you go.
It was important, I think. Michael's someone we've liked here for a few years, and our analytics guys, Charlie Townsend and AJ Bernstein have really liked him going back to his Bakersfield days. So to be able to get him and to stay in the first round, like you said, was big for us. And his age and upside, we still think there's room for his game to grow. And
yeah, so that's a player who they have kind of coveted for a while, right? And he came up in the Edmonton system, as and played in Bakersfield. So it's not like they've seen him back in the day. They saw him pretty up close with his Utah days. And I do believe Kesselring, who had a horrible season with the Sabres, I think that's going to be a player that works. I've said it before when they traded for him. I think that's going to be a player that works out really, really well for them, for San Jose. And it's going to be important, right, to kind of reestablish his confidence after a poor season. But I think a guy who's ready for a fresh start and trying to find that right partner for him is going to be huge. But this was someone they targeted, and Mike Grier is trying to actively fix this blue line as best as he potentially can without also overpaying, right? And again, we've seen some of these trades and stuff that have already happened, right? You again, I'm still the Bo Byron one. I'm just absolutely floored by that. Giving up the 4th overall pick plus to get Bo Byram. Like you're seeing some of these the cost of doing business here for some of these people, and maybe Mike Grier drove up the price on Bo Byram for the Blackhawks, and wouldn't be the worst thing in the world there, but I do think he's going to be aggressive, but he's not going to be reckless, which is part of our stick to the plan, right? Stick to the plan. Part of the goals for this season, this offseason here, stick to the plan. And so, yeah, I think the Kesselring trade, again, you move down 7 spots in the draft, and I think feels like he's going to get a kind of equally quality player there. I think that trade's going to work out pretty nice for him. So, lastly, Ryan Warsofsky, who is entering the last year of his contract here. Right, it'll be his 3rd season as the San Jose Sharks head coach. And while you don't want a coach kind of entering a lame duck situation, I think there will be an extension at some point for Ryan Warsofsky, because I think kind of just like this team, Warsofsky's been growing and developing. And yeah, Mike Grier also said very much the same thing.
Nothing's really changed since I last talked to you guys, and it's Warsaw did it, and his staff did a good job. I think he's someone who's still learning and growing, and we kind of look forward to what's next for him and his continued growth and development. And I think at some point we'll definitely get around and address his contract. But there's been other things going on that have kind of been on the front burner, and I know he's like you said, he's focused on making improvements to our team and in his coaching and in our system stuff. That's been his focus, and just like our focus has been trying to make the team better. So at some point we'll get around to his contract, but it hasn't been on the front burner yet.
Which would make sense, right? You have the draft, right? You have the massive Celebrini contract. You have all the trades that are happening right now. Again, Warsaw's entering the last year of his deal, and you can take care of that at some point. And I don't like. So what? You sign him to an extension or something like that, and if he doesn't work out, you just fire him and hire a new coach, right? Like it happens all the time. Hasselplattner is not worried about like paying two coaches or something like that. Like Hasselplattner's got plenty of money. The Sharks have plenty of money. It's not like it counts against your cap or something like that. You got to buy out Warsaw's contract or something like that. So, and I do think like Warsaw has shown improvement. This team has shown improvement, and I do still want to see what happens when you put together like an actual NHL caliber defense in front of him and see what happens there and stuff. And do I think Ryan Warsofsky's the coach who's leading the San Jose Sharks to a Stanley Cup? No, but do I think he's the right coach for right now? Yeah, I do think he is right now. So I would continue to ride Warsofsky, and kind of, again, I want to see when you start to kind of put an NHL caliber team around with like real NHL players and up and coming NHL players, and not just like a bunch of cast offs on your blue line here. So, but yeah, I know the Warsaw haters are going to be very much fired up, but right, it's coaches. I mean, we see it, right? Coaches like Warsofsky's like the 15th longest tenured head coach. He's been here for 2 years. Like coaches go quickly, and if they give an extension and it doesn't work out, it's no big deal. So that's gonna be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow, where hopefully much more calm day tomorrow, but we'll see. Well, we're probably going to dive into that ninth pick a little bit more, look at some of the, kind of dive into those potential players, get to know those guys that could be there, and, start to kind of put our board together of guys I think that the Sharks should be rooting for it at potentially pick number 9. So that's going to be it. Make sure you follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Until tomorrow, bye, friends.